Stop waiting to make the art. Stop saying you need to get better at art before you start the project or idea you're so excited about. Before you start your comic, before you start writing songs, before you start that bigger painting, that you just want to get a little better at acrylic technique before you start, that you just don't feel good enough, like you don't feel ready yet. You'll never really feel good enough or ready to start, so the only way to actually do so is to start anyway, and then eventually you'll get better. And obviously, your first attempt at whatever idea it is, or the beginning of your comic, or your first few songs, or your first few YouTube videos are gonna be bad, or not as good as they will be in the future. But if you don't even try, you'll never get to a point where you're more comfortable with yourself and actually proud of your work. You may think I'm just making this up and say, Ray, what are you even talking about? Why should I even trust you in this? But I was there. I was that exact person. I was saying, I want to get better at music theory before I write songs. I want to learn anatomy better and how to draw backgrounds before I start my webcomic. I want to actually get better equipment and I want to learn how to edit videos before I start my YouTube channel. But then I just started, and now suddenly every time I try to make another YouTube video or write a new song, they feel better than the last time. And I'm so glad I started instead of putting it off forever. And especially don't stop yourself from creating something you're excited about when you actually have so many ideas that you really want to do, or even just one idea that you're really excited about. And you're telling yourself, I'm not gonna start this because what if I ruin it? I want it to be perfect when I start, but the truth is it never will be. You never will be able to execute that idea perfectly because guess what? Humans are imperfect, all of us are, but it will still be really cool if you try, and other people in the world might think so too. And even if they don't, you'll at least be proud of it or just happy that you tried. And the truth is as well that in the future you'll definitely have so many more cool ideas, so just keep telling yourself that. And if you're one of those people like me that feels like they have way too many ideas, you just have to remember that more ideas isn't bad. It's easy to get overwhelmed by having so many project ideas and painting ideas and video ideas and whatever medium you work in. But actually, it's really not a bad thing. You can always come back to them later. And if you don't, just write them down. You might want to come back to them in the future, you might not. But even giving the idea a shot, like drawing some thumbnails for a painting you have ideas for, might help you for other projects as well. If you keep putting off trying to do something you're excited about, eventually you're just going to lose motivation while you keep studying anatomy and grinding to get better at art, and then eventually the idea you were so excited about in the beginning will just not feel important or interesting to you at all anymore, and you'll just end up abandoning it completely. I know way too many people that do this that have been telling me for, a year that, oh my god, I have this project idea I'm so excited about. I just need to get a little better at drawing. I just need to, learn to play guitar a little better before I start. And then they keep saying that, but they never actually do it. So ask yourself, do you really want to make the art that badly? If you're not starting at all? Are you just scared to start because you're scared of imperfection? Because just make the art. I keep coming back to this point, but it's so true. Not enough people actually start their projects, and I think there would be so much cool art out there in the world if people just actually went for it. And for those of you who think, I need to get better before a project, you can get better through working on a project. You can learn anatomy better by drawing comic episodes consistently. You can get better at writing songs by actually writing said songs. You can't get better at something without actually trying to do it a couple of times, And, for example, this YouTube channel, the big painting I'm working on in this video, the prologue to my webtoon, all of the songs I've written would never have happened if I hadn't actually started before being ready and before, getting good enough for myself to start, because or at least I would like to hope I'm getting better every time I make new art, every time I make new paintings, every time I make new videos and new songs. And you can actually apply this mindset outside of art as well. You know, creating new opportunities, not waiting to feel like you're good enough to apply for art courses, or not waiting to feel like you're cool enough to try to make new friends, or not waiting to take opportunities until you feel ready enough for them. Because if you actually just start living and start accepting opportunities that come your way and start trying to create said opportunities, you're definitely going to get a lot further and do a lot more things than if you don't, you know? Finding motivation to create art in general can be hard as well. So what helps me sometimes is just getting away from social media, getting away from doom scrolling and brain rotting, because that crowds my headspace so much. Sometimes even just getting away from consuming outside art in general. You know, go out, go for a walk, go in the woods if you can, go in the park if you can't, hang out with your dog, hang out with your friends, look at the sky and think how pretty it is, and maybe that will inspire you to create something. Listen to music that inspires you, or get completely away from it at all. Or get back on social media and look at artists that inspire you and try to recreate the comforting vibes you find in the work and whatever inspires you in their art style. And it just is really personal whether you want to consume media to get inspired, get away from media to get inspired, go outside, stay in, relax, or work harder. It is such an individual and personal experience that you just have to find what works for you. But I might do a video on how to find motivation in general in the future, because this is just a much shorter segment, this video. The painting I'm working on right now is my first big quote-unquote painting, I would say. It depends what you consider a big painting, because there are people that work on huge scale, so it really depends on your perception of things. As I have mentioned before, example in my Draw With Me video of painting the dead deer, I have not really painted on big scale before. I usually work in smaller sketchbooks, or always have worked on smaller canvases and smaller paper. But I found this canvas the other day and I really wanted to actually start something bigger, because I want to start working in big scale, partly because in art school from this year on to the end in the final exam we have to work on like 50 by 70 paper, or maybe even bigger, I don't know. So I wanted to get used to it, and I just got this canvas and I came up with an idea, I made thumbnails, tried out some colors, and finally started it, and it's actually going pretty well right now, as you can hopefully see in this video. But yeah, it's my first 50 by 70 painting, and it's also acrylic. I have mentioned before that I used to struggle with using acrylic a lot. It was very difficult for me because I didn't really know any painting techniques for it, and I just kind of winged it pretty much, and I still am winging it, to be honest, but I think it's turning out pretty well, and I'm excited to finish this. This specific painting is inspired by Adrian Lenker. If you have been on this channel before, you will know that I'm very into Big Thief and Adrian Lenker, and have been for the past 6 months or so, and they're my favorite artists currently. It was Cape Town for the longest time, but I guess we finally had some changes. It's inspired by the song Not a Lot Just Forever from the Songs album. Do listen to it, I highly recommend listening to that whole album and that song especially. And I'm planning to put lyrics on the top and bottom of the painting of Not a Lot Just Forever, intertwined soon together. I don't know if I will actually finish this painting in this video. I guess you'll see by the end of it, but at the time of recording it, I'm not sure. As always, at this point it is a painting of my favorite OCs, Austin and Clay, just cuddling in some grass. I haven't actually talked a lot about their lore on this channel before, but they're basically childhood friends that got separated, sadly, for most of their lives, and then ended up coming back together after all of their traumas, and just creating the most comforting and loving family by themselves and supporting each other. It's really great. I will talk about it more in the future, maybe. If you're interested, I might do a whole video about them too, and also about Rosé, Vampire Rosé. And while working on this, I've also been thinking about October a lot because October, as you all know, is coming up. Probably my favorite month out of my favorite season, which is fall. And I got inspired by some artists, including sketches of Shay, to create an October for myself because I have tried October for, I don't know, about 5 years in a row now, maybe six, ever since I started drawing. I thought, oh my god, that's so cool. Prompts every day for art, I should try that. And then I do like the first week and then I give up because it's just not inspiring for me. It's boring. Sometimes it's not something I enjoy working on most of the time. And I could try to create my own prompt list, but that's not exactly what I'm looking for. So I wanted to create a challenge for myself, and I've been thinking about things I want to get better on that I could practice every day of October, because I could do like weekly challenges, but I think that should be more for this year. Like every week, create a fully colored digital illustration. I might actually try that in 2025 or even start before that. But for October, I wanted to do something I could work on every day. So my current ideas were something along the lines of drawing every day, finishing a full sketchbook, or practicing anatomy every day. Perhaps even learning how to animate because I have been wanting to do that for ages. But also the goals of making more art in general and things like making mixed media paintings and learning how to animate, I feel like are more long-term goals, and trying to cram them into such a tiny space like just the month of October doesn't feel right to me and might feel overwhelming and make me give up. So I think what I'm going to go with in the end is trying to fill a whole sketchbook and use it to work on specific goals like getting better at anatomy, on backgrounds, and things like that. I'm not 100% sure what I will do yet. If I do come up with it, I'll put it at the end of this video when I'm editing it. Or if not, I'll just make a video in the beginning and end of October to talk about my experience with this challenge. And yeah. Anyway, just to reiterate my previous point, start making the art. Work on the projects you're so excited about. Stop telling people, I want to start a webtoon, I want to write songs, that would be so cool. Just actually do it. You don't even have to tell anyone. Just tell yourself, I'm gonna try to write a song today, or I'm gonna try to start a comic today. And I'm gonna stop waiting for life to start, without me, or to get better, or whatever. Just make the art. Stop telling everyone how badly you want to make it, and show them by starting things you're passionate about. Show them how passionate you are about your art by creating it, because that really is what art is about: expressing yourself and going through with ideas and coming up with them. Although art is very different for all people, so I'm not kind of like some all-knowing person preaching this to you, but do make art and do go through the things you're excited about, and don't beat yourself up over it, and stop trying to be perfect. And you can aim for perfection, but if it's not perfect, don't beat yourself up over it. Just remember that younger you would be so impressed by the art you create now, even if you think it's not good enough. Just think about how they would react. Like you from 5 years ago, you from even a year ago, would be so happy and so excited to see the art that you create. So just make the art, and then you can look back on it, and whether you like it or not, it will be just a step in your art journey. And you can keep coming up with ideas, and you can go through them, or just jot them down and never come back to them at all. But just keep living, keep creating. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you stay hydrated. I hope you're doing well. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night.